I can start. I call to order the regular Storm Lake City Council meeting of January 5th, 2026. All who are able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Feel much better now that we know what that is from the first time. Okay.
First time was scary.
Council, are there any changes to the agenda? Okay, hearing none, then I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda as is. Is there a motion? Motion by Councilperson Ramos, second by Councilperson Rickliffs. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, the agenda is set. Ooh, that's loud. Okay. Are there any disclosures by members of the council to any items on the agenda? Okay, hearing none, we will move to hearing the public. Do we have anyone here who would like to address the council on any items that are not on the agenda? And please state your name.
My name is Rick Weimer. I live at 808 Clover Lane.
Mr. Weimer.
It's a different look. I have a tendency to write better than I do speak, so I've written what I wanted to mention today. I am cursed in a way to have spent my career in property management, where one of my responsibilities was to ensure whether apartments, mobile homes, golf courses, office buildings, restaurants, shopping centers, and military housing programs, that they were all pride of ownership properties for my residents and for the communities they were located in. Storm Lake Proud is wonderful. As a lot of my writings on Facebook and the Times Pilot indicate, I love Storm Lake, the city beautiful, where I grew up. But it's not the same beautiful as was in my youth. First of all, I have driven around 90% of the streets in Storm Lake and visited 90% of the businesses, even Kings Pointe. And last October, I reported a home. I will not say the address, that in my opinion is a very derelict home, unsightly, unsafe, and a detriment to the neighborhood and the community. It had a jacked up pickup with all the tires missing. The garage door was broken and had junk spilling out of it. Debris of all kinds spread throughout the side yard, bikes in the front yard, vehicles in the driveway. Some of it looked like maintenance of equipment. I reported the address to City Manager Carrie Navratil, who sent it to the city clerk's office, who filled out a report to inspect it. The outcome, a judge let the pickup remain, and everything else is still there. Nothing's been done. I don't know why a judge would even rule on something like that, but there must be a code somewhere, either in Iowa or in Storm Lake, that prohibits it. But it's on jacks. It's going to fall over on some kid someday, and that'll be really sad. Per the city clerk, I was allowed to make a request that the city code be rewritten. I did, and there has been nothing so far on this that I'm aware of. This is only one of several homes throughout Storm Lake that need attention. Some are much worse. One had 7 pickups in its yard and on the street for sale. It's on the west side of town, in case anybody wants to know. It's not fair to the majority of homeowners and neighbors living around these homes who take pride in their home and have to sit on the front porch and view these homes. I challenge every one on this council panel to drive by this home and the streets of Storm Lake and make your own observation. As I told my managers, take a different route when you come back, come and go home for work. That way you don't have to go out of your way.
Mr. Weimer, we generally allow 3 minutes for these addresses, so can you wrap up?
Yes, I'm on the last sentence.
Thank you, sir.
Also, look at the mobile home and the rentals. Many of them are in the same shape. I read some of the codes, and in my opinion, they don't seem to have any teeth. I am willing to help. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Weimer.
Thank you back here.
Is there anyone else here who would like to address the council on a non-agenda item? Is there anyone online who would like to address the council on a non-agenda item? If so, it's *6 to unmute. Okay, before moving forward with the agenda, just a couple of announcements. I want to welcome our new and newly re-elected council members, Councilperson Reiner, Councilperson Martinez, Councilperson Rickliffs, and Councilperson Piercy, who started in November. I look forward to working with each of you. Thanks for your return. Before we continue, council, a brief reminder about procedure. If you wish to speak tonight, either to a speaker or amongst our council members or to an issue, please indicate that you would like to be recognized. Once recognized by name, you can speak. The reason for this is, one, we have people who are listening to our meetings online and they don't recognize our voices. And so it would be nice for them to know who is speaking. The other reason is that our software does help with the transcription of minutes. And it makes it harder for those who have to do that transcription if they have to listen to the whole meeting again to find out who has spoken. So please, if we could follow that procedure, I would appreciate it. Okay. Moving on to the consent agenda. Council, are there any questions or comments on the consent agenda? Councilperson Piercy.
Yes, I have a couple. On the city claims expense report, there's a bill for Dennison drywall, $34,662 from October 9th. Is that supposed to be on the city, or is that supposed to be listed with the Kings Point? Is that one of the water damage bills?
Mr. Gibbons.
Yes, Councilperson Piercy. So the insurance is actually held with the city of Storm Lake. So we process all of those claims and collections through the insurance. So it was for work at Kings Point, but it's processed through our AP.
Okay. Got a couple more.
Councilperson Piercy, continue.
This Huffett Concrete, all it said was water rec restroom building for $66,000. I don't know where that is or what we're talking about.
That's the new boat ramp. That was the delivery of the actual facility itself and placed on the pad that the Public Works Department put together. So that's the building for that grant.
Thank you.
Yep.
Are there any other questions or comments about the consent agenda? Hearing no further questions or comments, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Moved by Councilperson Martinez. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilperson Reiner. This will be a roll call vote because the consent agenda does include a resolution. So, Councilperson Martinez.
Aye.
Councilperson Rickliffs.
Aye.
Councilperson Ramos.
Aye.
Councilperson Reiner.
Aye.
Councilperson Piercy.
Aye.
Moves. Consent agenda is accepted. Moving on to new business. First item of business is to appoint a mayor pro tem. Council, as you are aware, the responsibility of the mayor is to appoint a mayor pro tem. But before doing so, I want to thank Councilperson Rickliffs for serving in this role for the past year. Moving forward, I would like to appoint Councilperson Martinez to serve as the mayor pro tem. And she has agreed. I will entertain a motion to appoint Councilperson Martinez as mayor pro tem.
I so move.
Moved by Councilperson Piercy. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilperson Rickliffs. All in favor of the motion to appoint Councilperson Martinez as mayor pro tem signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Congratulations, Councilperson Martinez.
Don't die.
She always has to put something on it, you know? Okay. Okay. Okay, next we will move to resolution, right? Get down here. This is the code, right? Okay. Oh, this is me. Okay, so resolution number 27-R-2025-2026 to approve the code of ethics for the members of the Storm Lake City Council. The code of ethics is attached to the packet, as is the reason for the motion. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve the resolution for the Code of Ethics for members of the Storm Lake City Council.
So moved.
So moved by Councilperson Reiner. Second.
A second.
Second by Councilperson Piercy. Again, this is a roll call vote. Councilperson Piercy.
Yes, REA.
Councilperson Martinez.
Yes.
Councilperson Rickliffs.
Aye.
Councilperson Ramos.
Aye.
Councilperson Reiner.
Aye.
Resolution passes. I think this is the most I've ever spoken at a council meeting, which is hard to believe. Okay. Okay, now we're going into closed session.
I move to go into closed session in reference to Iowa Code Section 21.5G to discuss specific law enforcement matters.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
The motion was made by Councilperson Martinez, second by Councilperson Rickliffs. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. We will be going into closed session.
So just call her from, do we have a number?
I'll entertain a motion to go back into open session.
So moved.
Moved by Councilperson Ramos. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Martinez. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. We are back in open session.
Hey, Maria, just take off a speaker. Thanks, Maria. All right, have a good night. Bye.
Is somebody going to let people back in?
Stash.
I brought my own. Is that just an iPad?
What do you think the other one recorded?
Did I do that while I'm in open session?
You're the mayor, you can do whatever you want. You got a mayor pro tem now. Testing. Oh, there it is.
Thank you, everybody, for your patience. Next, we have the water treatment plant, water rates and design advisory ad hoc committee presentation. Ms. Navarro.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and Council. On July 7th of 2025, the City Council did create a water treatment plant, water rates and design advisory ad hoc committee. We call it the Water Treatment Plant Ad Hoc Committee for short. The advisory committee did meet 4 times to discuss the planning, design, and appropriate rate structure to fund the construction and operations of the new water treatment plant. As part of those discussions, though, it also morphed into what other capital improvement projects that may need to occur also in the water, I guess, storage, wells world. So it encompassed more than just the water plant. And so what the rate you will be hearing tonight encompasses pretty much what we're going to be discussing at our capital improvement plan. So we'll be talking a little bit more in depth on what those projects will be after the presentation. But the committee did meet 4 times. We met on September 10th, October 13th, November 10th, and December 10th. I have attached all the meeting notes regarding that. Regarding those meetings, and we also have attached all rate proposals that were discussed during the 4 meetings, and then also the committee rate recommendation. And so we do have all the committee members there. I appreciate taking the time to come this evening, our final and last water rate ad hoc committee meeting. So with that, we do have committee members here who are ready to present to Mayor and Council.
I
Please
got
state-
nominated.
Please state your name.
Honorable Mayor and Council, I appreciate. I'm Mike Porsche. I was on the committee. It is a little different being on this side of the dais, so I hope I can handle that one all right. So, but as you know, as Carrie was saying, that we have had a committee of community leaders that have met since September to discuss the needs and potential costs and funding for a new water plant, and also the different components that go with that. As far, I mean, it was a total water project. I'm talking about wells and storage and this type of stuff also. Our consulting engineers from ISG have been assisting in the committee's research and the potential for siting of an area and the constructing of the facility. And we also had public finance experts from Piper Sandler that were consulting with us on the economics of such a project. And I would like to thank all the committee members for the time and expertise that they brought to the effort, as well as the city staff and those consultants that I mentioned for their roles in the discussion. We had a lot of materials presented to us over those 4 months. Took some time to go through that, but it was very thorough. We had good discussions with the consultants, and a lot of the information you have in the packet, I believe. So at this time, I'd like to just summarize what the committee's recommendations were from those meetings that we had. We did come to a conclusion, I think everybody knows that a consistent source of quality water is among the most vital and core services that a community can offer to our residents. Storm Lake's existing water plant dates back to 1978. So, we're talking 47, 48 years old at the water plant. With some of the updates did occur during that lifespan in the later years. A typical lifespan for those facilities such as that normally is considered to be about 20 years. So we've doubled that time already. While the Storm Lake plant is well maintained and utilized, the committee quickly realized that it has reached its maximum capacity. The age of the plant and the equipment makes it challenging to continue to operate at an efficient level. In the decades since the plant was first constructed, Storm Lake has grown from approximately 8,600 people in the 1970 census to perhaps over 13,000 people today. And the business and industrial needs of the community have also increased during that time. And we also not only serve the Storm Lake proper area, but we also serve Lake Creek, Lakeside, the areas around the lake, and Truesdale with water services. To serve this growth, the existing plant is operating at nearly 90 to 100% of capacity every day, year-round. So it is functioning at an extremely high level every single day of the year. The committee concluded that a new water plant is a vital need. We had several options to look at when we were discussing that, and one of the options that was quickly thrown out was do nothing. That is really not an option at this point in time. Our water plant will not be able to keep up with the growth we have in the community, and it barely can handle what we're doing right now with our community. Many other communities in our region and across the state are in the same position. We talked to not only ISG, but also Bolton and Mink engineers, just to give us an idea how many projects they are working on throughout the area and throughout the state, and there's over 50, right in the neighborhood of 50 projects, either water plants or wastewater treatment plants that are either in the planning stages or have already begun construction. So we are not alone in this process of revitalizing water treatment plant. Delaying any longer would increase the construction cost, as well as increasing the potential for our existing plant to fail. And that would, as you can about imagine, that would be a serious problem for the community if we had failure at the water plant. So committee members felt that the time to start planning and preparing for this project is now. Land acquisition, engineering and design, and construction could put completion of this project already out to 4 to 5 years from now. So you're talking then over 50 years that we've been using the current spot by that time. So time is valuable as we look ahead to this project. And obviously the first thing that has to happen is site selection. for the project. And our consulting engineers have stressed that the most advantageous location would be as near as possible to the current plant site. And that's so we can make use of the water service lines that we already have, and that we can take advantage of the proximity to the wells that we currently have. The further away you move from the current site, the more expensive the project will get. And the more complex it will get, especially if you have to go far enough north that you have to go across Highway 7 and then you're talking about going under the railroad and a highway and stuff like that. The current plant site does not offer enough space for the construction that is needed. Area in most directions around the current plant is not suitable for construction on it. You have Little Storm Lake and you have the lakefront areas, which are environmentally sensitive areas and just don't have the structure underneath to support any construction on top of it. The committee did investigate some adjacent land that would be ideal for the project, but at this particular time, the property is not available for purchase. So that was not an option at this particular time. With that in mind, then, the committee recommends that the best option at this point would be to plan for building north of the current plant. And by north, we're talking across Highway 7 and across the railroad to the north, up by the early childhood school up in that area somewhere. There are multiple locations that could be suitable in that direction. And again, the closer that you get to the current water plant, the better the cost and the construction time will be. New wells will be needed in the years to come, and best locations for those wells will also depend somewhat on the location of where the plant is built. The committee and the staff agree that it would be best to obtain property within the next 6 months to get the project rolling. Design of the new plant may very well somewhat depend on the site that we get, so that the design process cannot even begin until a site is purchased or a site is identified. The plan the committee has worked from not only includes the needs for water plant construction, but it also includes the wells and water storage needs, as Ms. Navratil also alluded to. So it's not just a water plant project. It is a complete project looking into the next 20 years. So it's includes wells and storage and stuff that we may be needing over the next 20 years. And as we know, we already are having shortages and problems with wells. So wells involved in this project are going to be needed also. And it would be a complete package. The industry standard is to design a plan with capacity for the next 20 years, and the committee feels that engineering is potential for an expansion that far down the road can extend the life of a new plant to upwards to 40 years, hopefully, and we get the same life that we have currently in our current plant, if it's planned correctly. Now, the difficult part is the investment, part, or the cost. We looked at several different options for the cost. The cost could reach up around $100 million. And that is in addition to land expense, and that's according to very preliminary estimates at this point in time. And if you're talking 5 years down the road, before you get complete construction, those prices obviously will probably be higher with the construction costs. We looked at several different funding options. First option we looked at was to obtain grants, and grants are not generally available for such a project in a community our size. Smaller communities have an opportunity for grants. Communities our size, there are very few grants that are available. And even if you obtain a grant, it would only supply a very small percentage of the funding that would be needed for the project. So grants are really not something that we looked at too closely. We also had questions, and we also looked into potential use of general obligation bonding or GO bonds to raise cash. While that could save some interest expense, in the long run, it will create more expenses for the homeowners in the form of property taxes, because you would actually be paying off those bonds with your property taxes. And then users that we have outside of the city limits would not be paying their fair share if it's based on property tax, because they would not be paying the property tax that the city is, people in the city would be paying. And then also, most importantly, the city debt capacity only would allow us for $20 million in GO bonding, which would still leave a bulk of the plant costs to be covered. And then also, if you use that much of your debt capacity, then in case anything else came up over the timeline of paying off those GO bonds, if anything else came up, you would not have the capacity to bond for any other infrastructure type of projects. Let's see. The committee also found, we were looking at what would it be like if the largest industrial user was taken out of the calculation. For example, if we had a company that found alternative water source instead of using city water, like if they made their own wells or whatever, the cost of the new plant could be reduced to around probably $70 million. But the actual cost to homeowners on their utility bills would be significantly higher without the industry, because the industry carries a large percentage of the water use that comes out of a plant. So if you lost one of the, or if you had one of the industries pulling less water, a smaller project, homeowners would still, or water users would still be paying more, because you don't have that bulk user taking up that, paying for that much of the infrastructure. So it was felt that raising funds through gradual increases in water utility bills would help set aside funding and reduce the need to borrow, as well as saving interest costs down the line on the different bondings. The committee felt, for example, that a $12 a month increase for the average homeowner or occupant in the fiscal year 2026 or 2026 to 2027, which would be the next fiscal year, could go a long ways toward raising the needed costs without having a very large increase in the bills in one particular year. So if a obviously $12 a month increase, your bill, you'd see your bill go up $144, $150 a year. And if you get started on that early enough, you can get the funds coming in before the project starts. And such funding would be fair, as it would be based on usage and not based on property. It's certainly preferable to invest toward the new plant that is needed, rather than continuing to try to put money in keeping the outdated plant operating longer than is really feasibly possible. So, to summarize, we are fortunate enough to enjoy growth over the last years, and we continue to see that growth continuing in the community, which means that investment in providing water is necessary. Without the investment, the city, we will not be able to sustain the growth into the future, and we will not be able to accommodate any additional industrial development that depends on water. It is impossible to push any more water through the aging plant that we have. The committee felt that it strongly needs a new plant, that it's a necessity, that the plant is no longer able to push out and process any more water than it is already doing. Time is of the essence in preparing for the much-needed project. A forward-thinking design and funding that will have the least stressful impact on the property owners can ensure that the project is successful and enduring the quality and quantity of water that Storm Lake deserves for many years to come. Again, I want to express my personal thanks to the committee members. Those that are on the committee, if you want to stand. We're going to make you stand. If I got to stand up here and do this, you guys go do this. And our consultants. But I appreciate that, because there was a lot of information. You have some of the information before you. There's a lot of information that people went through. Our staff did a wonderful job. Jorge and the group that our staff did wonderful jobs of getting information to us. Tyler did a fantastic job providing financial information for us. And all that information is either in your packet or is available to you if you ever want to look at it. So those are the recommendations that we have as you look forward to a project such as this. And we are here to answer any questions that you may have at this point in time.
Thank you, Mr. Porsche. Any questions from the council? Councilperson Piercy.
What is the output of this plant per day capable of, this new one?
Do we have our plant? Colby, there you are. Colby was very instrumental also in giving us information in the process of the plant, and so we were able to understand what was going on at the plant and where we actually stood.
It should be around the 8, I mean, we haven't totally finalized where we're at with the design, but should be right around the 8 million, should be like our peak capacity for the future.
About 8 million gallons a day then?
Yep, MGD, yep.
Okay.
And we're what, 5 now?
Yep, so right now, the most we can really put through our plant with our source, which would be our wells, and our plant capacity, I mean, we're hitting that in the summer. We're at 5.6 MGD, so we would have another 3 MGD to obtain.
What about the existing plant that we have? Will we look at maintaining that so we have a backup plant, or?
Options are still kind of there depending on location. There's some potential, so the farther we go north, all of our well field that's south of the tracks, we would maybe use the existing clear wells as a mixing tank and have a pump station to pump it to the new plant, but that'll all kind of come with design of the plant and location of the plant.
Other questions or comments from the council? Again, I want to thank everyone for it. I have a question because the recommendation is that we start this project within 6 months, and without trying to put anybody on the spot. Do we think that the property north that you're recommending of the elementary school is something that's on the market and we could be approaching for purchase?
That property, we have not approached anybody yet, but I think there are probably property up there that would be available.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, council? Well, thank you, Mr. Porsche. Thank you, Cody. Thank you to all the committee for all of your hard work. We appreciate this. I think the graphics that are included in the agenda packet are very educational for all of us. For me, I never like to see that any bills are going to go up. I don't think any of us like to know that our bills are going to go up. But when I looked at some of the other numbers of what all of us spend on other utilities, some of which maybe not be as crucial as water, I thought that was very educational. So I encourage everybody listening to the meeting to go to the agenda packet and look at all the information that was made available. So, thank you. Okay, we will move on. To ordinance number 050-2025-2026, amending the zoning code of the city of Storm Lake, Iowa, Title 6, Chapter 6-1, Article 10, pertaining to signs within the corporate limits of Storm Lake, Iowa. This is the third reading. Mr. Dutfield.
Honorable Mayor and Council, yes, this is the third reading for the sign. Just a brief history, the Downtown Master Plan and the IEDA's Downtown Assessment Report touched on recommendations for improving signage. Back in '24, the council suggested we put together an ad hoc committee that was put together with business owners, community members. I would like to thank those committee members for giving their input. Very valuable. Scott Olson and I worked with them for the document that you see before you. Most recently, on the 20th of November of last year, it went to Planning and Zoning. They had a public hearing. There were no public comments. P&Z had 2 recommendations of changes which were made. The document that's before you incorporates the ad hoc committee's recommendations. It aligns with the city council's directives that were given throughout the process, addresses legal considerations, enforcement, and the public impact. And if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer those.
Questions or comments from the council? Okay, thank you, Mr. Leffield.
Yeah.
This has been a long, thorough, very thorough project.
I feel like I'm letting something go here. It's, it's been so close to me. So.
I know. Well, okay, well, thank you, and thank you to everyone else who worked on it, especially members of our Planning and Zoning Committee. So with that, I will entertain a motion to accept the changes to ordinance number 05-0-2025-2026, amending the zoning code of the city of Storm Lake, Iowa, Title 6, Chapter 6-1, Article 10, pertaining to signs within the corporate limits of Storm Lake, Iowa. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Councilperson Rickless. Do I have a second? Second by Councilperson Ramos. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. We have a new ordinance.
All right, thank you.
Okay. You need a cough.
Need more water.
Next, we will go to the motion for setting the public hearing for proposed change to City Code Section 5-9-2I1. Mr. Olson.
Yeah, Mayor and Council, this will set the public hearing for the following council meeting on January 15th, January 19th, 2026. And what this is a request was put forth by Mike and Megan Sullivan. This is in reference to the requirement for when fire sprinklers are required in single-family dwellings. Currently, there's a trigger point of if your house and basement, whether finished or unfinished, exceeds 5,000 square foot, you're required to put a sprinkler system in. And this was put in about 20 years ago, a long time. So we've never had a sprinkler system installed, and we haven't updated it in this time. The Sullivans, when we're going through the review process, questioned the reasonableness of the 5,000 square foot limit, and eventually ended up requesting it. They're in the middle of constructing it now, but their request initially was to make the trigger point at 10,000 square foot. Chief Center and my assistant Chris Chambers and I reviewed it ourselves, reviewed other communities, and we all kind of come to the conclusion that 5,000 square feet may be too restrictive. So we're looking at 8,000 square foot. 10,000 square foot may be too much, but 8,000 seem more reasonable, and that's based on every community has different standards as far as when they would require this. Some cities don't require it at all, but with our geographic area that's required to be covered by our fire department, types of buildings that are put up, we have a different amount of staffing. All that plays into the decision of when this would be triggered. So that's where we came up with the 8,000 square foot. So at the public hearing that's going to come up the 19th, we can kind of discuss this further, but basically this is amending our adoption of the International Residential Code, and would amend that from 5,000 square foot to 8,000 square foot. And I guess it should be noted that if we adopted a 2024 International Residential Code as is, we had to sprinkle everything. So I don't know any city in Iowa that does that. I think there's some cities in California that may be. So we're just trying to match this with what our capabilities are and what our requirements are, and try to make it reasonable so we're not out of line with other cities. So this would just merely set the public hearing for the 19th.
Questions, comments from the council? With that, then, I'd entertain a motion to set the public hearing for proposed change to City Code Section 5-9-2I1 for January 19th.
So move.
Moved by Councilperson Piercy. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Ramos. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. It passes. We have a public hearing on the 19th. Thank you, Mr. Olson.
Yes, ma'am.
Make a motion at the next meeting. I don't have so many resolutions.
We'll do our best.
Okay, we are moving on to resolution number 28-R-2025-2026, fixing date for public hearing on the proposed vacation of a portion of Highway Drive. Mr. Olson.
Yes, ma'am. Mayor and Council, BVRMC is requesting that the city vacate and sell a portion of Highview Drive, which is approximately .29 acres, which is primarily adjacent to property owned by Buena Vista Regional Medical Center, consisting of 8 lots. So they own all those that are currently adjacent. And this would go from Locheatham Drive to their north property line where Highview Drive used to go through. So this would merely set the public hearing for the February 2nd, 2026 City Council meeting. And this is required when the city sells property to private owners and vacates their right-of-way. So this just merely set up that start of that process.
Questions? Councilperson Piercy.
Is there still active storm sewer, sanitary sewer, and water mains on this road?
There are. Part of this project would require them to either reroute or the water main that goes down, it will just be removed because it won't be serving anything anymore. And that's, probably a good thing. We've had some breaks on that line anyway, so that'll be terminated along where it ties in at Locheatham Drive. The sewer and storm sewer will either be rerouted or as part of the project. And so part of the project was vacating. If there's anything we have in that right of way, we'll make sure that they provide us easements for it. So we do have a sanitary line that goes through that. That was part of the previous project when they did the addition along 6th Street. So, yeah, so when we do this, that packet will show what utilities are there and how they're either going to reroute them or permit us to have an easement through there so we can maintain them.
Any other questions, council? Okay, with that then, I would entertain a motion to set a public hearing for resolution number 28-R-2025-2026 for the vacation of a portion of Highview Drive on February 2nd, 2026.
I so move.
It's moved by Councilperson Piercy. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Reiner. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. It moves.
Thank you.
Mr. Darragon, welcome.
Honorable Mayor and Council, the next 9 items on your agenda relate to this same one item. Before you at the moment is a motion to approve selection and hiring of Simmering Corey for grant writing and administration services for CDBG funding for the Well 23 development project. In our budget, going back a couple years ago, we entered into an engineering contract to develop Well 23 with ISG. That was done in September of '24. The estimated cost for that project is about $1,500,000. This CDBG funding is in a group known as Opportunities and Threats, which was brought to our attention that we may be able to get about $500,000 toward that cost. So this item is just to enter into, well, we went out for advertising as required. We received a proposal from Simmering Corey for grant writing and administrative services. Phase 1, grant preparation services, is a fee of $1,500. If the grant is awarded, we would then move into Phase 2 and enter into a contract for grant administration for that fee of not to exceed $22,000. So at this time, we're just moving to approve the selection and hiring of Simmering Corey for grant writing and administration services for CDBG funding for the Well 23 development project. As we move forward, the next 2 items that you'll see set appropriate public hearings required under CDBG funding in order to move forward with the process. Then the remaining 6 items and resolutions about policies, we have had those in place prior to. We're just required to update them to follow CDBG's process and Iowa Economic Development Authority's process. So my goal tonight is to have you act on this and then easily go through the others, so my presentation was shorter than Lee Dutfield's on signs.
Yep, sometimes competition is good. Okay.
So-
Any questions from the council? Okay, Then with that, I would entertain a motion to approve selection and hiring of Simmering Corey for grant writing and administration services for the CDBG funding for the well number 23 development project.
So moved.
So moved by Councilperson Martinez. Second. Second by Councilperson Rickliffs. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
My notes for the next meeting.
Okay. All right, resolution number 29-R-2025-2026, setting the time and place of a public hearing on the submission of a CDBG application for the city of Storm Lake. Mr. Darragon.
Honorable Mayor and Council, this would be a first step in moving forward with submitting the application.
Questions? Okay. With that, then, I will entertain a motion for resolution number 29-R-2025-2026, setting the time and place of a public hearing on the submission of a CDBG application for the city of Storm Lake.
So moved.
Moved by Councilperson Rickliffs. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Reiner. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Resolution passes. Next, we have Mr. Darragon for resolution number 30-R-205-2026, setting the time and place of a public hearing on the approval of a community development and housing needs assessment for the city of Storm Lake, Iowa. Mr. Darragon.
This item is in the same needs assessment and housing needs assessment and community development. We've done these before. Ours just needs to be updated for the Well 23 project. This will set the public hearing on January 19th as part of the Well 23 application for CDBG funding. There will be more to read on that one at the public hearing that will be coming forward. And so any one of you can read that, or my preference is the city manager, but. So if I'm here on the 19th with you.
After that, yeah, okay, good, okay. With that, then, I will entertain a motion for resolution number 30-R-2025-2026, setting the time and place of a public hearing on the approval of a community development and housing needs assessment for the city of Storm Lake, Iowa, to be held on January 19th, 2026. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Who said? Okay, moved by Councilperson Ramos, second by Councilperson Piercy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. And I look up and you're still there. So resolution number 31-R-2025-2026, approving code of conduct.
Honorable Mayor and Council, the next 6 items are required by CDBG for us to approve.
Okay, I will entertain a motion to approve resolution number 31-R-2025-2026, approving the code of conduct.
So moved.
Moved by Councilperson Reiner, to second.
Second.
Second by Councilperson Martinez. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Now, opposed, same sign. Oh, it's a roll call vote. Oh, that's 2 I missed. Right. Okay, so we will go through this again. Councilperson Piercy.
Aye.
Councilperson Martinez.
Aye.
Councilperson Rickliffs.
Aye.
Councilperson Ramos.
Aye.
Councilperson Reiner.
Aye.
Now it passes. Resolution number 32-R-2025-2026, approving CDBG equal opportunity policy. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Councilperson Martinez.
Second.
Second by Councilperson Rickliffs. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Roll call, sorry. Councilperson Piercy.
Aye.
Councilperson Martinez.
Aye.
Councilperson Rickliff.
Aye.
Councilperson Ramos.
Aye.
Councilperson Reiner.
Aye.
Now it passes. Okay. Resolution number 33-R-2025-2026, approving CDBG affirmative fair housing policy. Any questions? Okay, I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Moved by Councilperson Rickliff.
Second.
Second by Councilperson Ramos. This is a roll call vote. Councilperson Piercy.
Aye.
Councilperson Martinez.
Aye.
Councilperson Rickliff.
Aye.
Councilperson Ramos.
Aye.
Councilperson Reiner.
Aye.
Resolution number 34-R-2025-2026, approving CDBG procurement policy. Questions? Okay. With that then, I will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Moved by Councilperson Martinez, second.
Second.
Second by Councilperson Reiner. All in favor, say, oh, never mind. Councilperson Piercy.
Aye.
Councilperson Martinez.
Aye.
Councilperson Rickliff.
Aye.
Councilperson Ramos.
Aye.
Councilperson Reiner.
Aye.
Motion passes. That was procurement, right?
Yes.
Okay, resolution number 35-R-2025-2026, approving CDBG prohibition on use of excessive force policy. I will entertain a motion to approve.
I so move.
Moved by Councilperson Piercy. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Martinez. This is a roll call vote. Councilperson Piercy.
Aye.
Councilperson Martinez.
Aye.
Councilperson Rickliff.
Aye.
Councilperson Ramos.
Aye.
Councilperson Reiner.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Resolution number 36-R-2025-2026, approving CDBG affirmative residential anti-displacement and relocation assistance plan. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Councilperson Rickliff. Is there a second? Second by Councilperson Piercy. This is a roll call vote. Councilperson Piercy.
Aye.
Councilperson Martinez.
Aye.
Councilperson Rickliff.
Aye.
Councilperson Ramos.
Aye.
Councilperson Reiner.
Aye.
It passes.
Thank you.
Okay, next is the strategic plan, 2026 strategic plan. Ms. Navratil.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and Council. This is not a resolution.
Thank you.
On December 6th, 2025, the City Council met at Kings Point Resort at 8:00 a.m. to 1 p.m. The retreat's primary goal was to identify specific community goals and objections for 2026. Those were identified in a visioning exercise: streets, neighborhood committees, fire department, police department, and water plant. So this is the strategic plan that was discussed on December 6th, was actually the crux of what our capital improvement plan is going to be. Well, I guess you'll start seeing that in a few minutes. But that's what our capital improvement plan is made from.
Questions, council? Hearing none, then I would entertain a motion to approve the 2026 strategic plan.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilperson Martinez, second by Councilperson Ramos. This is not a roll call vote, so all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion passes. We can go down there for the work.
Yes.
Okay. With that, then, council will relocate to the tables for the work session.
May we have a brief break?
And we will take a brief break.
Thank you. We also need you to sign the,
Behavior,
yeah, the what?
our behavior.
Yes, you're right.
Sure.
Sure. I was gonna say that form, but. Doing pretty good.
That's what I'm saying.
Real kudos today for writing all of that stuff.
Now we gotta sign this.
Yes.
When did a barber shop do this?
That turns over so fast.
I'm not
Space.
I didn't know there
The guy that used to do the mobile one, isn't it? Who is that?
I know. Reminded me of the CDBG stuff. There's gonna be a lot of that reading verbatim that you have to make sure word for word.
So fun.
Because everybody makes fun of me. I have to read it verbatim and I can't miss a word, like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So I read it really slow.
Okay, council, we are going into one of our many work sessions regarding budget. I want to first start off by acknowledging the hard work that has been put into this process by all of our department chairs and staff, and are looking forward to hearing from each of them on their presentations. And with that, I will turn it over to Ms. Navarro.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and Council. I want to say I appreciate the budget team and all of the department heads. It's always fun, I should say, right? Coming in, sitting down, talking about projects in your budget, and then coming back again after you're told that your stuff didn't make it to the next level. But no, I do, all joking aside, I do appreciate that, all the time and effort that went into it, specifically, when we were looking at the council goals and making sure that those were implemented into our capital improvement plan. So tonight, like similar nights, we break out our budget instead of having one long, enormous night. We are breaking them up to individuals, so we're not here until midnight. So this evening, we're going to be focusing on the enterprise fund, on capital improvement plan only. So if there's any questions regarding operations and maintenance, I promise we will get to those items, but it will be when we discuss our operations and maintenance budget, and those will typically be March and February. Right now, tonight, the focus is on our capital improvement plan, the big numbers for our projects. I've heard other people call it our fund budget. You can call it whatever you want. But that's what our focus is. So we have tonight the water fund, sewer fund, and stormwater fund. So each section, we have our department head present. Scott Olson will be here with our water, and Colby Struken is our water plant operator. He can answer any water plant question you have you can throw at him. After that, we'll go into the sewer fund where we have Jorge back there and Dave, and then we'll end on stormwater with Mr. Ripke. With that, if there's not any questions, we'll just jump right into the water fund.
So the way this was formatted, very similar to previous years. So you kind of have a summary sheet for each department. It does go out 5 years, but as Mr. Porsche referenced before, we did go out a lot farther for specific water, sewer, several of the departments. We do try to go out 10 to 15 years, just so that way we are accounting for what the needs are going to be in those future years as well. For ease of presentation, we reduced that down to the 5 years. This is what the 5-year snapshot picture is. But because local government is annual appropriation, the main items that we are looking at is everything in the fiscal year 27 column underneath the 27. When I say your annual appropriation, the council only has the authority to allocate dollars for the next given year based off of what the collections are. So the detail sheets that follow the summary sheets, which the departments will each individually go into, is going to be just the 27 projects. If you have questions on the summary sheets for the other projects that are further down the road, just feel free to ask those at any time or early on so we can address those. We do, when we meet multiple times, we do a lot of shuffling. Things become a higher priority. You may have looked at this last year and said, well, that project was in this year last year. Things get moved every year, and not just in 27, in and out of 27, but beyond. So they're constantly shuffling, constantly moving based on what the departments believe to be the necessity for the department in the coming years. On each of the department sheet, or each of the detail sheets, excuse me, you'll be given the total cost of the project, if there's anything planned or budgeted prior, if there's anything planned or budgeted in future years. Because we do that snapshot stop at the 5 years, you'll see on like sewer, for example, we'll go into it, but there are projects leading up to that 2032, 2033 and beyond that may be referenced when we're discussing these types of things. And then you'll also have kind of what the priority level or what the department believes the need is for that project, as well as a brief description and justification. As Carrie mentioned, we try to achieve your strategic goals, and that's what a lot of the projects, some of that shuffling comes from, is making sure we are achieving those council goals. So with that, I'll kind of let the departments kind of start off with their summary sheet and go into the details.
Yes, for 2027, on the water distribution side, it's pretty consistent as far as what we're normally including in those line items. Obviously, when you get further out, we have other, we have equipment needs and whatnot that show up later. Pickups and the hydro excavation trucks, which is something we use to try and excavate down without using a backhoe to find water lines and trying to avoid, cutting electrical, fiber optic, and that sort of thing. But for the 27 budget, we're looking at numbers for our cast iron main replacement, which is when we have basically got 3 different types of water lines in town as far as our mains: cast iron, ductile iron, and then plastic. And there are some as far as small service lines that might be galvanized or other types of things. But generally speaking, over time, the cast especially, it wears out, breaks, cracks, whatever. So we had to plan to replace those. Also, within the cast main replacement, we're trying to not only replace bad portions of the line, but lines that are undersized. So typically, the minimum size we try to put in is 6 inches. That supports fire hydrants for fire suppression type of activities. So, and also we try to loop them. In other words, you don't want to have a long water main that just ends up in a dead end. You end up with stagnant water on there. So the goal is when we do this, and it varies depending on what's happened over the winter, what types of breaks we have, and that'll kind of change the priority of what we do with that money. But typically, we're trying to get rid of undersized lines, ones that are dead ends, and then obviously get rid of, which the focus is cast. The ductile's a different product, so is plastic. So that's kind of the goal. So we have some items in here where we talked about potential projects we use that money for, and we'll kind of go through that. We'll flip through in a second. The insertion valves, when they install water mains, initially they do put valves in to be able to control that water. So we have a break or we have to do a tap or something like that, we can shut that water off and contain it to a section. They don't just let it run wild. We do have portions of mains in town that, for whatever reason, we have a valve that breaks, we have to replace. It's easier. An insertion valve is something you do while the main's under pressure. You don't have to cut the line, open it up, and then which causes a boil alert. So you have to do with the buildings or the structures or businesses that are associated with that area, which can be a real headache, especially if you have hospital, food processing, those types of things. So instead of cutting the line and putting a new valve in, we can drill through what's under pressure and install a new line or replace a valve. And a good example on trying to have areas where we need additional control, where we put up new Tower 5 down by May Street. There's a long line that serves it. So if we have an issue at Tower 5, there's a lot of water coming down. It could be thousands of gallons. And so we need to put some additional controls, especially now that Tower 5's there. The water that goes through that's a lot greater. So that's one of those we're looking at, and that's on a 12-inch main we're going to try and do. We also have our main 18-inch water main, which is our largest in service. If we have a break or we have to do something bad, there's a lot of water comes out of that. So we've looked at strategic locations for installing those as well. So it's kind of an ongoing process, hence you see it carries out through the next 5 years. So every year we look at areas that we have broken valves or we have new conditions come up, like the Tower 5 project. It just changes where we need those, and so we strategically what's the most advantageous to us, and we try to take those projects first. The water line set aside, similar to the cast iron main replacement. This we try to accumulate money for larger projects. So we have some potential project we could use that money for, where we try to take care of large stretches of bad cast iron, or in the case of we have a street project, we need to accumulate money for those, because when we do a street project, we replace everything. So we don't put a new street on, and all of a sudden now we break a water main, had to tear up a brand new street to fix it. So when we go through those things, we try to fix everything so we don't have headaches later. So some of the projects we proposed, depending on how we fund the upcoming United Street project, we may do some of these projects, or depending if we fund it completely separate, we'll do that, or this money gets lumped into that project to install a new main where it's needed on the upcoming Oneida Street project. So the cast, we're showing a picture here that's, when we have a water main break, that's the big Band-Aid, we call it clamp, that we put on there. So that's how we fix those or cut out bad sections. So it's just ongoing. cast iron mains aren't like wine, they don't improve over time. We've got a lot of them in town, so it's just an ongoing process. We, under the water main set aside, we listed out some potential projects here that try to determine, again, what's the most advantageous, how many problems could we take care of with one project, small lines, dead ends, old cast. So as we go through there, we have some potential estimates of what those would cost. We flip ahead. So these are no certain order, but these are some ideas of what we potentially could do, and what the potential cost, and including contingency and engineering. So the water main on 5th between Vestal and Grand, it's a really old cast iron line. It's a 2-inch, it could use repair. And the way it's tapped off will clear across on an old main. We was do this in a different fashion, where it's update all the materials and then tap in a different place, and that would take care of a lot of problems with that. So that's one example. The next one would be along Barton Street, Rockwell, and Highland Drive. This one we have an 1.5-inch cast iron line, and we even have a 3-inch on Rockwell Court. So this is one where we have an issue with old lines, undersized lines, and it's also a dead end. So if we would replace this, we'd replace 360 feet of 1.5-inch line and 210 feet of 3-inch. Both are undersized. We'll try to shoot for 6 inches. On this cost estimate, this does include going from Rockwell Court and tying over to the 6-inch line on Highland Drive, so we get that water to flow through and not have that dead end situation where that could cause a problem with water quality. The next page is if we would just replace the lines and not try to tie it over to Highland Drive. So maybe do this in 2 steps: replace the old rotten lines and upsize those, provide fire service, and then at a later date tie off from that, extend over to Highland. Just try to come up with a cost that shows both options of how we want to do that. The replacement of Barton Street to 5th, this is a 1-inch line, very small. So what this would do, we'd put a line from 5th Street and tie it into 6th Street. Again, eliminate the small line and eliminate the dead end. So improve water quality there, and also not have to worry about having to deal with broken lines. The next one is a pretty good idea. What we've got here is this is between 1st and 3rd Street. And so if you look at that existing line there, it goes along the east side of Lake Avenue. It's a 2-inch line, so it's very small, it's cast, and it also has a dead end. So rather than installing a new water main here, the idea is to take the existing services and bore them over to the west side of Lake Avenue. So we've already got a 6-inch line on that side, so we don't necessarily have to install a new main. We just have to run the lines across the road. So we're not installing main in this, but we're tying in an existing line that's already there. So it improves water flow through that, and then we eliminate almost 1,000 feet of old small pipe. So just a different approach to do that. The next would be the water services on the west side of College. Again, 1-inch line here, dead end. So try to get rid of that small pipe. And then this one, we will not be able to loop this in. We'll be able to go ahead and just tie across and do pretty much what we did on the other one. So it'd be about 250 feet of line that we'd eliminate on College Avenue that's bad. The Phillips Robert Street, this is a project to try and, we've got several dead ends there. So the whole purpose of this would be to try and extend those up to the 6-inch line that's on the East 3rd Street there. So that's the main goal of this one, is just trying to loop those water lines and then increase water flow through that area. So a little bit different, so not the whole line, just to try and tie the ends down. Irving Street, this would be quite a length of pipe we put in on this one. That's the cost. Again, we've got some pretty small lines there, older cast iron. So we'll be going from approximately 2 inches back up to 6 inches, so that increased fire service in that area and eliminate the bad lines we have. And that's the new main would be about 1,100 feet on that, so that's why it's a big project, quite a bit of stuff, and then eliminate the potential issues we have there. Last one we have here is the main on 5th Street, and we've had some water main breaks along here. So we do have some plastic installed here, but this would basically go from one block to the other and replace the rest of that cast iron, and then eliminate the issues we've had with that one. So it gives you some ideas what we could do with that. So depending on what we see, that we've had a recent break on the Colonial Circle. And so as events happen, it kind of dictates where you have to go. So this is just potential ones. Colonial Circle, we might end up having to replace some line up there, so maybe the funds will flow towards that. So as we get towards the time we can spend the money, then we'll kind of hone in on what we can do, but it gives you a rough idea of kind of the process of determining what needs to be replaced and when, so.
Questions from the council? So, Scott, I do have a question, because one of the things that I keep hearing every time there's a water line break is, why does this keep happening? So my guess is that it has to do with the age of the infrastructure. Can you give us an estimate of, overall, what is the age of our infrastructure, especially our cast iron lines and lead joints?
Well, the cast iron lines, depending on how small they are, I mean, some of those could go back to the 40s, 50s, 60s, so you're talking some significant age on those, depending on what part of town you are. Now, when we do new projects, everything's plastic, with the exception of where we've had soil contamination, or you can't use plastic, you gotta use ductile iron, which is a different product altogether from cast iron. So I'm sure you've got some pipes, I mean, I've been here 33 years, so I'm sure we got some pipes that are 80 years old, I would still assume. We got old galvanized and whatnot, so that'd be my rough guess, at least.
Thank you. Now, I think it's important for people to understand, because that's one of the questions I get all the time, is why does this keep happening? Well, it keeps happening because we are a city that's pretty old, and our infrastructure is old, so I think it's important for us to point that out.
Yeah, the freeze-thaw cycle is tough on things, especially when we have a lot of cold winters with not much snow cover, so it drives the frost deeper, and you get that cycle where it gets really cold and it warms up and the ground moves, and cast doesn't bend very well. So if there's any type of issues with that pipe, you're gonna find them when it does that. So that's typically when we experience those.
And what's the life expectation of the plastic pipe that you're using?
Oh, boy. It would be much greater than the cast, but I'm guessing, I'm not sure, Mr. Graff.
We got our engineer here who could answer some of these questions too.
There
50
you
to
go.
60 years?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, I can move on to the water plant aspect of the CIP here. Starting out, as Mr. Porsche mentioned, we are in need of wells to increase our capacity from our source to make sure we have adequate water, especially for a new plant coming down the road. So we have in a new Dakota well, which would be well 24. Typically, our Dakota is producing anywhere from 800 to 1,100 gallons per minute. So this well is going to be right around that, 380, 400 feet. Water quality is still pretty good there. The deeper you go, the worse the water quality gets, the more expense it is to treat it. So the more shallow wells we have, the better, but they are susceptible to drought. So the Dakota's fairly, or I shouldn't say fairly, it is a reliable source for us right now. I mean, we're pumping 2 wells out of the Dakota every day, 7 days a week. So we have a new one in there for design this year and construction next year. And then some of the location we're still kind of working on, potential, depending on where the water plant is, we could maybe shave some costs. Knowing where the plant would be, we could potentially have a generator and have the generator at the plant run the well instead of having to have a separate generator just for the well than the plant. So there's a lot kind of hinging on the location here of the plant for some of these future projects here. So hopefully with the meeting tonight, we have some clarity on where we're going to go here, and that will help design some of these well projects coming. Next one is the Jordan well. So the Jordan is going to be a deeper well, around that 1,200 foot deep. We do have a Jordan in operation now. It is old, I want to say like like 1968 or so. Have had some issues. It's been relined. It's producing about 450 gallons per minute. A new Jordan well could be 1,000 to 1,400 gallons per minute. So with this comes, you know, a little bit more treatment costs. It'll change the chemistry of the water, it'd be a lot harder. But it would be, you know, a redundant source for us in drought years. If we need water, we're gonna have a well that's gonna be there, and we can, you know, we can treat it. So that would, you know, essentially a Jordan you can kind of put anywhere in this area. I would say 95% sure you're gonna hit it for the location, but the idea would be to hopefully put this up there and share the cost with the generator with the new plant as well. So that goes into design as well here with the Dakota. The next piece is land acquisition. Depending on where the well may need to be for the Dakota or the Jordan, if we need to purchase a piece of property to put that well on. Typically we need 2 to 2.5 acres or so to have the legal control around the well for spraying agreements and everything like that. So the following is well 23 that was talked about by Mr. Barragon. This project includes, so where we're at right now, well 22 and well 23. When we drilled well 22, we found very reliable formation for a shallow well up there. So that's where well 23 came in. So we had a change order where we upsized the building and increased the well 22 costs a little bit. So we'd be prepared for a shared building that can house all the extra piping and all the panels and everything for well 23. And that is just about done. So well 23, the cost was shaved down, but there is a potential, the raw water main from old well 15 down to well 14, there's an 8-inch main. So we have well 20, which is farther north. So we are restricted if we had well 20, well 22, and well 23 to run together. We probably would not be able to run all three of those together without doing a raw water main project from that well down to well 14. But depending on where that new water plant goes, it would, you know, knowing where that's going to go would change where we're going to upsize that main, or if we need to or not. So this estimated cost does have the water main included for the raw main project as well. And with these new wells, we have in there the test well exploration. So normally when you do a well, it's I want to say the city's done 100 test wells. Don't have a lot of wells. It's kind of hard to find that vein of water. So if we're going to do a Jordan, we would do the Jordan first, and that would give you a good concept of when you drill, you're going to see the formation all the way down. So you're going to know if you have a Dakota water. So we have this in there for test wells, depending on where we're going to go with that Dakota. So we may be able to save a little bit of cost here if we hit it right with the Jordan and see that there's a Dakota formation there, or we may have to find a location and do a test hole and test pump. The water plant expansion. we're looking at 10 to 15 acres of land for a new water plant. The Mr. Mayor, or Mr. Porsche, sorry, mentioned that we were built in 1978. There's an expansion done in 2002 that increased the capacity. They added a new set of filters, but it still left the bottlenecks in the piping internally, where we increased the filters, but we still can't increase the full capacity of how much water you can push through per minute. So this is just in there for the expansion, set aside. And then the last one on here is well rehab. As we know, we're running our wells 24/7, 7 days a week. They might have a 10 to 12 hour shutdown on a Saturday night to Sunday. We do have a few wells that we can rotate, but the majority of them are, especially the Dakotas, are a workhorse. They run nonstop. So trying our best and doing our best to try and stay ahead and get preventative maintenance instead of emergency repairs. With that though, is the cost of maintaining them. With us running 24/7, you know, pumps are 7 to 10 year life expectancy on some of these wells, and they're based off an 8 to 12 hour run time of a day. Well, we're running 24/7 a day, so our time on our Dakotas is cut back to more of a 3 year. So this is gonna change throughout every year. CIP of what the rotation we have in for the wells is gonna change. I kinda have it offset. We're trying to do a Dakota, a deeper well with a shallow well to kinda help save the costs for maintenance. So, and just a quick note, I started in 2013 and we still have, I started here with 9 wells and we're still at 9 wells today. So once we get 22, we'll go up to 10 wells and hopefully we'll keep increasing our capacity a little bit. But
You find some wood to knock on.
yeah. So, any questions over wells, water plant, towers?
Thank you.
Thanks, Toby. I was like, who are you talking
That's my guy.
I know. You're shocking me there. We have Jorge Terran, our wastewater treatment superintendent. Or all knowledge of wastewater, right?
That's, yeah. I'll start off with sewer collections. We have in there for a new back truck. Our current one is just has a lot of issues, has been having a lot of issues just with maintenance and just wear and tear on the unit. It just has a couple hours in it. The motor is good, but it's just the runtime on the jetting when we use it for jetting, backing out, all these other kind of issues that come with the truck.
Jorge, how old is the truck?
It's from 2013. So that's just for the collections.
Is this for a new one?
Yes.
Okay.
That
Not used.
newer one, it's just a lot safer for the guys to work on. Right now, they're kind of struggling with the hose reel. It's the ones that we have to have 2 guys kind of maneuver the hose reel around. The newer ones got like a hydraulic system where you can use them. Currently, this one that we have to have a guy come out and physically tell them, hey, you need to stop here at the manhole, where the newer ones got that camera and they have that backup camera. This one does not.
I think it's on the detail sheet. In the past year, we spent $40,000 in repairs.
Just repairs. This will be for the wastewater treatment plant now. Currently, we have a crane record, military record truck that we use as our crane truck. For that time, it was what we could afford. It worked until we noticed it went in tight spaces. It's hard to maneuver. The boom is not long enough to kind of service some of the pumps that we have. The actual hook is too big to pull off some of the pumps, so it creates issues when pulling pumps. We do service the pumps on a routine basis, like twice a year. We kind of usually, that's what our goal is, to kind of service. And we do use it for other things as pulling baskets that we do more on a routine basis. And that's when you have rags on your basket. And that's when you're flushing those wipes, creating issues. We kind of do it on a routine, kind of check them every week, and then just go from there, see which one we get full. It's usually once or twice a month that we have to do it. With this, if we maintain pumps on a regular basis, and if we had hired somebody to come out, like electric pump, they usually charge about $2 to $3 grand to come out and service a pump and just pull it out. With this, we are saving a significant amount. It'll pay pretty quick.
So the story is, Jorge, do not flush those wipes.
Yes, it creates a lot of issues for us.
Those flushable wipes aren't.
This, the next one is Emerald Lift Station replacement. This is just to start planning to replace Emerald Park Lift Station. This is, it's from the 80s, from the 60s, sorry. It just, the design is a climber. It's real hard to work on. Everything is submerged. The pump house is, your pumps are underground. It's all corroded and rusted. So the town, and that section of town is expanding, so we're getting a lot more flow. So this is just for a new lift station upgrade. The flame hood for our lab is just when we're working on with our sampling, we collect samples, we use the muffin launch furnace, and furnace itself creates flames and fumes. This unit is just real old. It's from the 80s, so it's out of, yeah, so the newer one, it's gonna save us a lot of time because it will be ductless. We won't need a blower. Right now, we currently have a blower for the exhaust. It just eliminates a lot of hassle. The Headworks building gas sensors. This is just safety precaution. The gas sensors themselves are outdated. There's no one that can work on them currently on them. So we have to take gas meters. It just creates on that building, there's a lot of hydrogen sulfide that the guys have to deal with, and it just creates a safety hazard. The protective coating application for the A basins, we currently had one done in 2024. This is just to finish the other side of the basin. It protects the concrete from deterioration, cracks. It just makes it, the life exceeds the life more. And you can expect, with the Cooney, you can expect it for another 20 to 25 years. It just protects it. Spare sampler. The sampler, we currently don't have a spare sampler on hand. This is just for complying with our DNR permit. We have to have something when we do our sampling, collecting our sampling. And it usually, for something like that, it usually takes a couple months to get. So having one on hand makes us be compliant if we had to swap it out in an emergency. The Northwestern Lift Station, routing fiber to the lift station. Currently, it's on satellite. We've been having a lot of issues with the satellite. The wind sometimes knocks it out or loses communication to our SCADA. Having the ability to have it on fiber, it's a lot faster to communicate with our system in SCADA. The next one is the UV panel upgrade. It's just currently, the UV system is the one that disinfects our water, the end process. We run it from March 15 all the way to November 15. So it's a key component of that, complying with our permit. It just outdated. It just needs an upgrade to the system. And the last one is just a set aside for permit requirements. We have a big nitrogen and phosphorus removal that we have to meet by a certain time by our permit and DNR to comply. That's all I got. Any questions?
They're talking a lot more about these PFAS. Do you
Yes.
think that's gonna be a problem with our solids?
It's starting in, they're talking in water now, and I've gone to a couple of conferences, and it's coming to wastewater. So we can expect that to PFAS, PFOS, all those other components. Plastic, microplastics.
Questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Jorge.
Thank you. Brandon Ripke, our Public Services Director. We're gonna talk about
Good evening.
stormwater funds.
Yes. We just have one project for next year.
You'll be fast tonight.
It would be, so currently on Vestal Street, I don't know if you have the map in front of you, we have two actual drain areas on each side of the road. Well, these are just French drains, so they're holes drilled into the ground with rock while they clog constantly. The water doesn't actually go anywhere, it's just meant to go down, and on heavy rainfall, it doesn't go anywhere. So this would just connect into our existing storm sewer. If you've driven through there on a heavy rain, or even with snow melt, it turns to ice, it's
Can I ask you a question? So do we have a lot of French drains?
those are actually the only two that I know
Really? Oh,
of,
okay.
to be honest. I mean, we have
Old school.
other things, but that's only minus in our shop.
No.
That was a new one. And it doesn't work, so, but yeah,
I've had 'em in
not to my
my homes, I
knowledge,
haven't.
yeah. But we find things every day, so,
Yeah. Tomorrow's a new day.
yeah, we could find one tomorrow. So,
Easy fix.
yeah.
Any other questions, Council? that was good, just one.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a feeling he'll be back.
Oh, yeah, he'll be back.
Cheap on this side, more expensive on the other.
He's just trying to make us feel good.
Right.
Yeah.
We can stay for another hour if you want.
That's all I have. We just have our future council work sessions. I have the nuisance code on March 15th and then the truck routes on April 6th. So unless if there's anything else to add to the list.
Anything else from the council?
We'll be doing this for a while, so.
With that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved by Councilperson Ramos,
Second.
second by Councilperson Martinez. All opposed? Who all opposed? Okay, it's time to stop. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Yeah, I did. I wanted to see you listening. Good night. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody back there. Staff.